How'd you feel about today, and when you're 2 weeks from tomorrow, first game, where do you feel like you're at?
Well, as you can see, this is kind of a night run for us, kind of getting into the mix of that August 29th, and it's getting closer and closer. And we got to give these guys something to kind of see down the barrel here. 14 days in of camp, it becomes a little bit more difficult, so we try to change some things up. We're starting to get to that point where we're going to start working some more UCLA and quit banging on each other. But that's the difficult thing about it right now, is you don't get a scrimmage, you don't get somebody else to be able to come in. So you got to be able to control your emotions and get the work you need to get done, but also figure out when that right mix of time is to get moving on to the first week.
How many position battles do you think you have left to make in the next 15 days?
Well, I think the unique position battles are that we're trying to get this whole idea of 1A and 1B. And so we know there's guys. Desmond Ritter's obviously done an incredible job, and Kobe Bryant's a guy at the corner that he's a clear #1 guy. We've got a few of those. James Wiggins, obviously, but we're really battling to see what we're trying to talk about. Those 1B guys, those guys that we can really put in there and trust and respect, and not think we're going to miss a beat with those guys going in, because we believe we're going to have to play 22 guys on defense, 22 guys on offense. I know that sounds cliche, but we really are trying to hone in on those guys and putting pressure on them. Say, if you're a 2, you're not guaranteed any reps. If you're a 1B, we're going to get you some reps, and we're going to get you some opportunities for the entire team.
Yesterday you felt like the defense won the day. How did you feel about today?
Well, when you're in shells, when you're in kind of the spider pads, it's really hard to say who can win a day. I think what you're really asking them for is to be pros, to work together, to not get too emotional on some of these things. But I think the offensive was very efficient today. I think it was the first time, not the first time, but a good night for those guys to just kind of get in the groove of some things. Moving the ball down the field, we don't always get an opportunity to kind of play it, and not that it's a live situation, but to see those guys kind of work up and down the field. And I felt good about Desmond Ritter and how those guys controlled the pace tonight.
Coach, did you see or have you been made aware of Coach Harbaugh's comments about you last night?
Well, my wife has made me aware of them. I haven't, sorry Joe, I haven't read the article yet. I haven't had time to read any of the comments, to be honest with you. We had a couple kids go down yesterday, and spent a lot of time with them, spent some time talking with their families. That to me was a lot more important than worrying about what Jim Harbaugh has to say about us and our program, or me in general. But I know where we stand. I know that James Hudson's done a lot of things, and I think it's a shame. And I know that guys can get eligible like Blue and like Kyrie, and it has a lot to do with the programs they're coming from. And that is what it is. And if we're not going to get any help from them, which we didn't, and James didn't, then it's pretty much a new point, and it's over with, and we'll move on. And I think that's what it is.
He maintains that he and the university have no input on that waiver. You still seem to feel differently?
I know differently. We've battled. We've kind of worked with it a lot more than probably they have. To their defense, they don't have anybody that's got a waiver to come into play. So there's a reason why I called. Just like I called Coach Day at Ohio State and Coach Saban at Alabama. I did nothing different than what I did with those guys, and the results are different.
The way he remembers the call with you in March, that it was a lot about position change and asking him to maybe lie about a situation to you. What is your recollection of that call?
I got notes if you want them. Nothing more than asking, hey, what's your stance on James? Are you going to help the kid? Really, same thing I asked Coach Day, and a little different than what I asked Coach Saban. I asked a little bit more input on Kyrie, but nothing to do with any position. It just, it is what it is. It's over with. It's unfortunate, for James more than anything. But we'll stand by ours. Hey, we're going to try to take care of our guys any way possible, whether they're here or they happen to move on.
Luke, how would you characterize that phone call that you had with Coach Harbaugh?
It wasn't like pleasant or anything. It was kind of cold. It was short. It wasn't a long conversation, but it wasn't hard to figure out where their stance was. They weren't supposedly going to hold him up, but they weren't going to help him.
What's your perception of why that would be? Why he would, like you mentioned the other teams, the other schools that you've not had a problem with.
I can't really speak intelligently on why they are going to feel the way they feel. It must be their philosophy and their program. And, personally, we're in it for what's best for our kids. And if that means that we might have to help somebody move on, then we might have to help somebody move on. I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
What's your interpretation of what you saw from the NCAA about their opinion and what that school might have been able to help put James over the hump?
Well, we saw how it works, with Coach Day at Ohio State and what they did to help Lou Smith out, to be honest with you. So whether people know a lot about that, they wanted to help the kid. They didn't want to lose him, but they wanted to help him. And they did stuff to make him eligible here and to give him an opportunity to be eligible. To be honest with you, on the whole James thing, I'm disappointed in the NCAA as well. I mean, it's a world I live in. It's a world we live in. I love it. I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the NCAA. But I completely disagree with them, and how they've gone about this situation. But it is what it is. It's unfortunate that they can't give, not me. I'm a grown man. I don't need a great explanation, but that they can't give a 20-year-old, an explanation as to exactly why. But it's over with now, and for us, we got to try to really move forward. That's why I didn't spend a whole lot of time reading comments. I was more worried about our kids that got hurt and what's coming down the pipe here August 29th.
How's James handle it?
It's a struggle, but he's doing a good job. He's got a brother on the team here, and Mike Warren, probably the biggest reason that he's here. His ability to kind of go through those waves, it's not easy, but I think without his brother, Mike, the history that they got together, I think it would be very, very difficult for them. But I think that just the environment, hopefully, that we're creating here, that's going to give him an opportunity, even though he can't be on the field, to feel like he's a big part of what it is we're doing.